I remember 3 years ago when I thought I was never going to get here and that I was never ever going to get to a position where I would securely sit in my house and think I am actually not lonely, I don't miss anybody, I'm not pining after anyone, I'm not checking anyone's Instagram. And you need to have these rebuild years. And welcome back to another episode of Coming Up for Air with myself, Lou. I cannot describe to you how much technical issues I've had this morning. I'm now on my 4th restart. My microphone wasn't plugged in, my computer crashed, my screen crashed, and then there was a lag on the record. It was doing my head in. So we're back now and I'm scared to touch anything. I probably shouldn't be talking about it. I don't want to jinx it, but there was a lot just going on then. I don't know whether it's because my battery's nearly dead on my laptop and I've just plugged it in. Who knows? I don't know. We're here now and we're just going to get on with it. Fingers crossed we have no other technical issues, because that was a lot to start a podcast off on. Anyway, welcome back. Welcome to my Friday. I've run 10 kilometres this morning and I'm very, very proud of myself. That is my first long run since my shin splint injury, which I haven't really addressed, to be fair. Haven't really spoken a lot on it. You know me, I'm very much a big universal believer. I don't want to put things out in the universe, but I haven't really addressed it and I haven't really spoken a lot on it because I'm going to physio, I'm recovering. And do I think that a half marathon is doable by the end of the year? Potentially. But I mean, my shin feels great this morning. 10k is 6 miles, and obviously half marathon's 13. So do I see myself potentially getting back up there this year? Yes, but it's just going to have to be done slowly. I'm now, I think, April, May, June, July. So I'm 3 months post injury. And so it's my first 6 miles. I haven't done anything really over 3-4 miles. It was continuous on the treadmill, taking precaution, going to the gym, making sure that I am running on flat ground. I am taking 0 chances. I do not want to put any strain on my shins. Bizarrely this morning, my treadmill and my watch were 2 miles out. So the treadmill was saying that I had done like 5 miles and my watch was saying that I'd done 7. So I went on my treadmill this morning because my watch was so out, and sometimes I can adjust the settings and it does kind of marry up. It's usually about like maybe 0.5 or 0.7 miles out. No. Today we were 2 solid miles out, which is wild because I go on the same treadmill, I use the same watch. So who knows what that was all about. Anyway, I managed it. Very proud of myself. And now I have spent the morning yawning my head off. I'm knackered. I'm absolutely knackered. I've forgotten how much running takes it out of you completely. I've been sat here editing some work and I'm yawning my head off. I'm also starving. I've forgotten just how much running takes it out of you. I'm going to sleep well tonight. I've had a very, 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 very busy week. It's been very full on. And I'm very happy to get to the end of it, to be quite honest. I welcomed Friday with open arms this morning. It has been like I said, it has been a very long week. A very busy week. I can't believe that it is Friday. As always, I'm going to give you a little catch up on what I've been up to. My sister is still pregnant. She's very much pregnant. She's very much still got a house that needs renovating. Well, I say renovating, they're like ripping the floors up, doing painting and stuff. And I can't quite believe that I walked into her house the other day and she had a roller in her hand. And I was like, what are you doing? She was like, painting the ceilings. Shouldn't be doing that. You're 35 weeks pregnant. What are you doing? It's been wild. It's been all hands on deck at her house. I've been working on some big projects to do with my content for the next 6 months. I was, funnily enough, having a conversation with my sister's best friend the other day, and she was like, Lou, you need to get on TikTok. I was like, I'm on TikTok. And she was like, you need to start posting videos because one of her kids goes and plays football and someone's mum on the football team made 3.5 grand off of one video. It's all well and good, but that's not guaranteed. And, I've been talking about my content on TikTok quite a lot. how I want to change it up and stuff. And the next 6 months of the year, I've like planned out basically like people do in actual businesses, you know, like they split theirs into quarters. I've done like half the year, and I'm going to do like give you a little catch up with that in a minute. But the next 6 months of the year, the TikTok content is changing. But my week and my weekends are so busy, and I usually like try and record my content when I've got like a full solid day of no distractions, but my weeks fill up so quickly. So the plan for the next 6 months of the year on TikTok is to do more face-to-face like talking videos, getting to know me, because at the minute I'm just posting quotes, and it's great because I get the traction and I get the followers and stuff, which is brilliant, and I'm meeting the right people, and when people land on my page they go to my podcast, which means I'm helping them. However, I do want to do sort of like more face-to-face stuff. But like I said, my Instagram was the one that needed help. My Instagram was lagging a little bit. I couldn't really find my feet on the Instagram world and where I wanted to sit and what I wanted to do. And I nearly got rid of my Instagram after Christmas. And I'm so glad I haven't, because it has blown up and I've gained a fair few followers in the last couple of weeks. And that makes me so happy, because I don't post content to get paid. I don't do paid ads. I don't do paid posts. And I just hope that my content finds the right people. But I put a lot of effort into the content that I make. And when people say like, oh, I don't get paid for this, I literally don't get paid from Instagram for making content. But the same amount of effort goes into that than it does in like my TikTok. But it just means that more and more people are finding me. I know I shared my analytics the other week and said, you know, my followers have gone from predominantly being male because of like it being running, I think, to a majority being female now. And I love that. It's not that like I don't think that men are welcome on my page and that we're man-hating. I don't think men don't go through breakups as well. But I know that like being a woman myself and being able to relate to another woman and women being able to relate to me is really important. So yeah, the first 6 months of this year I put down to building, and I feel like I really have done that. I would love more people to come over to my Patreon. I would love more people to get involved with like the courses and stuff, but that's all going to come with time. My main focus for the first 6 months of this year was growth, and I think I have really achieved that with my Instagram and my TikTok. My TikTok is growing every day, but my Instagram has taken a back seat definitely in the last couple of years, and I was just posting running content, but now I feel like I've found my feet, and I hope that really shows through the content that I'm putting out there. So yeah, we're very busy. I know I always say that, like I'm so busy, but I am actually really busy, and I'm out, I'm socializing a lot. I'm out with my friends this weekend. They turned 30, two girls I used to work with. We're going out, we're going into a town local to us that I've never been out in before, which I'm very excited about. So yeah, it's always a wild night with those. Now they've got children as well. They're just hilarious. Like it's like being let out into the wild. They're wild chicks as it is. So I'm really looking forward to that on Saturday. And it's supposed to be really, really nice weather. They're talking like it's supposed to be like 28 degrees or something they put in the group chat. So yes, I am really looking forward to that. Like going and just laying our hair down and just seeing them relax and have a good time. So I'm doing that on Saturday. Then I've got a full content day on Sunday, depending on the hangover. I don't think it will be that bad. I don't think we'll be out late. We're going out early to be home early, which is always a good tactic to do. And so yeah, I've got a really nice weekend planned. I'll probably get drafted in at my sister's house at some point to help with the house reno that she's decided to take on just before she has a baby. The absolute nutcase. I'm sure my brother-in-law is thrilled with the direction and the project management that she's doing at the moment. Anyway, this week I wanted to do an episode on just a catch-up episode. I love putting these episodes in and amongst like all my other episodes, because I think sometimes, and even I don't even do this on my Patreon, I don't really sit down and say like, this is what I'm up to, this is what I'm doing with my life, like this is, you know, where I'm at. And I think it comes with the fact that like I am quite a private person these days, and I think people laugh when I say that, because they're like, you can't be private, you say, you know, you share everything online. Which is not actually true. I share everything to do with my breakup online, but I don't share my life online. And I think sometimes when I was going through my breakup, I wanted to know what it was almost like being single and what it felt like and how single people were spending their time. I never really understood that. I was always a bit like, what do single people do with their time? And it's funny because now I can't imagine being in a relationship, and because I'm all busy all the time. Like, where on earth would I stick a man in my life at the moment? I just wouldn't be able to do it. I just think, yeah, it's madness. I've gone from like having all this time, obviously coming out of a relationship, to being like, oh my God, I'm really scared about having all this time, to being like, oh my God, I literally have no time for a man. When my mum always says to me like, oh, no, I don't get lonely. I haven't got time to sit and think about being lonely because I'm always busy. I'm always doing something. But I know that's not the case with everybody, because not everybody is as manic as I am. And I remember when my sister told me that I was manic, and it really annoyed me. But I am now manic, and I fully embrace that. And I embrace the manic life, and I like being manic. I like being on the go all the time. And some people say that I burn the candle at both ends, and maybe I do. But am I ever going to have this much freedom ever again? No. Did I ever think like that before? Also no. So I just wanted to give you, I think I've done a few catch-up episodes within all my other episodes. So I just wanted to give you a little update on my life, how I'm feeling being single, a few things that I'm loving at the moment being single, a few things that are annoying me. Just having a little general catch-up, because I think a lot of the topics that I talk about are quite heavy. I've just recorded a really good episode over on my Patreon about intimacy. I had a message from somebody the other day that was from one of my followers that said, Lou, I know you don't share everything online, but how on earth have you coped with like being intimate with somebody and then that stopping? Is something that I then thought I could actually talk to my Patreoners about that, because it is something when people go like just a trivial, like jovial thing, like you go from being intimate with somebody all the time and being to have sex with someone all the time to like not. And how do you cope with that? And I genuinely think that it is a genuine concern from people going through breakups. Like, how do you get through that? Like, how do you get through the fact that, you know, sex is a big part of your life and then it just goes to nothing? And again, I like talking about topics that aren't addressed online, and a lot of people don't want to talk about sex, but I have no issue. However, I have done it over on my Patreon. So as per, guys, if you do want more episodes, if you want to listen to that episode, if you do want episodes like that and you want some more help, or you just want to have a chat with me, I'm hoping that everybody on my Patreon will always say that I get back in contact with you quicker and have really good conversations. There was one lady over there, she messaged me and I took about 4 days to reply because her message was a long message, but I like that, and I like getting my teeth into big lengthy messages like that and giving my whole attention to that reply to make somebody feel like they have the support that they want from me. So if you do want extra additional support, episodes help, or just access to me, or you want to ask me a question or ask me to do a podcast episode on something, head on over to my Patreon. The link is in my bio of everything. This video, you can find it in the bio of my TikTok, the bio of my Instagram. Follow the link to my Stan store. You will see on my Stan store that you can click on the Patreon. It will take you straight to my Patreon website, and you can sign up there. It's $4.50 a month, and that gets you 2 extra additional episodes a week, or 1 depending on the time and the length of the episode. And like I said, you can have a good chat with me, form a relationship with me. And I am going to be looking into breakup coaching and how I get into that. However, at the moment, you know, with everything that I've got on as well on my plate, I'm just piling up and spinning loads of plates at the moment, with it also being the summer, which is something that I wanted to talk about in this episode too. Everything's just a little bit crazy, but I'm always available over on my Patreon. I will always put my Patreon messages first. It's just how I like to do things. Like I always say, when you message me on Instagram and TikTok, they go into my message requests, and you could be sat in there for a couple of days, and I go through my message requests once a week, because any more time on it becomes overwhelming because of the amount of messages that I do get. I feel like, you know, that Dear Deirdre, Is it Dear Deirdre? Am I showing my age now, or have I got that really wrong? It's like an agony aunt, which I absolutely love, but I like to also give my full attention to everyone's messages, because I've messaged creators in the past and had never had a reply, and it's always left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth, because I think, you know, you've got supporters, and if your supporters are messaging you, then you'd want to reply. But, you know, I don't know. And, you know, some of these people haven't got loads and loads of followers, and I understand catching up on your inbox when you've got 1 million followers must be really difficult. But I do think that there should be, but I do think that, you know, I wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. So I always try and put the effort in where I can. Anyway, so that was the episode that's going to go live this week. And so, like I said, if you do want to listen to that, then just follow the link in my bio. It will take you to my Patreon. So without further ado, guys, this week's going to be a nice little catch-up episode, something that you could put on whilst you're maybe cleaning, cooking, going for a walk. Just going to chat with you about some things that have come up into my life recently that I think is worth sharing with my single community. So without further ado, guys, let's get into it. Okay, so firstly, one thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about was my 10k steps a day. Now, I didn't realise how obsessive I actually am. I have a very, very, very obsessive, nature about me. I become fixated on things, and I think that's how I did 75 hard. I think that's how, you know, I've always stuck to diets, but it does get a little bit intense, and I do irritate myself a lot. I like to get involved in things, but sometimes things can come a little bit obsessive. So full transparency, the 10k steps a day thing has become a little bit obsessive, and I've had to scale back a little bit. Last week I had one rest day. I hit 10,000 steps every single day, and I was so proud of myself. And then on Tuesday this week I had a really busy day. I think I got 7,000 steps in, and I was so hard on myself. I was like, well, you need to go out at 9 o'clock at night, obviously, to get the rest of the 3,000 in. No, you don't, Lou. You don't need to do that. And so I've obviously conducted a little bit of an experiment. I wanted to know how it benefited me. I wanted to know if I could see any of the benefits, and I wanted to know how much time it took. I wanted to be able to share how many miles it was, so if anybody did want to do it. I genuinely, hand on heart, have no idea how people are getting 10,000 steps a day in around commuting, around children, around life, around having a partner. I genuinely do not know how people are doing that, because I have none of those things. I don't commute to work. I don't have a partner. I don't have children. I have my life that I obviously fill up with doing things, but I struggle to get 10,000 steps a day in, and I really have to think about it. Like, what time am I going to wake up? Am I going to be able to get it in before then? Do I, on a Friday, when everybody knows that I love going to pub club on a Friday, that usually we meet at about 5:30, where am I getting my steps in before 5:30? Okay, yes, I can get up in the morning, but am I walking 5 miles in the morning? Probably not. And 5 miles takes like an hour and 20 minutes. That's an hour and 20 minutes out the house in the morning, that I genuinely don't know if I was to wake up at 6 and had to leave the house at 7, where on earth are you getting that time from to be able to do 10,000 steps? Now, I'm talking from my perspective, where I have a job that is predominantly sat down editing. I'm sat at my desk a lot. And one of my best friends, Ross, he's a builder, and he always messages me and he's like, I've done this many steps. I've done this many steps. And I'm like, yeah, so you should have done, because you're a builder. So you're walking around site and stuff. If I was a builder, I'd be in my absolute element with this 10k steps. I'd smash it all the time. But I'm not. I sit and I work at a desk. And so I was having a little think the other day, and I thought, when you go through a breakup, there is this massive, massive thing on revenge bodies. And I've done a revenge body, revenge mind episode, but there's this massive thing on revenge bodies, and there is this huge thing on getting 10,000 steps a day in. And there has been masses of pressure on women, especially, to do this 10,000 steps a day thing. So, number one, do I think it has made a difference to my body? Yes. Without a shadow of a doubt, 100%. It has toned my legs up quicker than anything else I have ever done. Now, I have tried so many things to tone my legs up. I have tried Pilates, I have tried HIIT classes, I have tried running, I have tried just one of those things, I've tried two of those things, I've tried all of those things. Nothing has toned my legs up quite like walking. It has made a huge difference, and I think that's why I'm slightly obsessed with it, because I can see the changes that it is making in my body. Do I think I've lost weight from it? I'm unsure, because I got on the scales the other day and I became completely obsessed in 2018 with my weight on the scales. I know exactly how much I weighed in 2018. I got on the scales the other day and I was actually shocked, because I'm more comfortable in the body that I'm in now. However, I was a lot lighter in 2018. I actually don't know how I was that light and what I was doing and how I was achieving it, because I didn't run in 2018 and I barely made it into the gym. I think I was just dieting hardcore. But yeah, I got on the scales at my parents' house when we were looking after the kids on Wednesday, and I was like, one, why have I just done that? And two, how am I that weight? But like I said, I'm the most comfortable and the happiest that I've been in my skin as such, because I like what I see when I look in the mirror. So yeah, the 10k steps a day is hard, but it has made a difference to my body. So when I lay in bed and I think I don't want to get up at 6 o'clock this morning just to get my 10k steps in, or I don't want to go out at 7 o'clock at night just to get the rest of my steps in, I do it because I have seen a lot of change in my body and my legs especially. And my legs have always been a bugbear of mine, and I've always tried to have like skinny legs, and I was not blessed with skinny legs. My eldest sister was blessed with skinny legs. I was not blessed with skinny legs, and my legs and my arms have always been my biggest gripes. And I'm slowly trying to fall in love with my legs and my arms, and the 10k steps has definitely made a difference to my legs and my bum. To be fair, my bum is really toned. The downside to it is the obsessiveness, and when you don't do it you feel like a failure. And like I said, when you are going through a breakup and you are trying to find things to keep you occupied and stuff, and going out and going on walks and things, I think not getting the 10k steps in a day with how you are feeling when you go through a breakup, would that have made me feel worse? Possibly, yes. I think that like not being able to achieve something would make me feel a bit down. However, I think it's 5 miles a day, basically 10k steps, and my 3 miles takes me an hour and my 2 miles takes me half an hour. So it's an hour and a half out of my day that I split morning and evening. Would I have benefited from doing that when I was going through a breakup? Probably yes. It would have made me get out of the house. And I walked a lot, and I talk about it a lot, that I went for walks a lot. Called them hot girl walks, mental health walks, you name it, I've probably called it a walk. But I definitely think that it would have helped to have like a routine as such as getting out and listening to podcasts and listening to self-help books and stuff. It would have forced me to do more of that, other than sit at home doom scrolling on my ex's Instagram, scrolling and seeing how many followers that he's gone up by, scrolling and seeing what his family are doing. And I do think it would have got me out of the house a lot more, had me something to fixate on a little bit more other than my breakup. So do I think 10k steps a day is beneficial? Yes. Do I think outside of a breakup it is beneficial? Yes, because it is changing the shape of my body. Do I think you could put it into a routine with you going through a breakup? Yeah, I definitely do. And I think if you're listening to this and you're like stuck in a rut and you're like, I'm going home, I'm going to sleep, I'm waking up, I'm getting up right at the last minute to my alarm going off because I can't drag myself out of bed, can't physically get into work, and you're feeling a bit like in a slump, I would recommend maybe starting with 5,000 steps to see how that goes, and then putting it up to 8,000 steps to see how that goes, and then going up to 10,000 steps. I do think it is something that could be worked into your routine, and hopefully listening to this you've gone, do you know what, Lou, I'm going to try that. And I think I started off the 10k steps a day with being like, I'm not always going to hit 10k steps, and I know I'm not, and 10k steps has just been plucked out of thin air. I'm yet to go down to 8,000 steps because I quite like doing 10,000 steps a day, but it might be just as beneficial to do 8,000 steps a day, in which case I think, you know, any steps is worth it, but actually putting your mind to it and thinking, no, do you know what, I'm actually going to go out and I'm going to do this. And so hopefully this is giving you a little bit of motivation if you're not already going out and clearing your head in the morning or in the evening. Hopefully this is giving you a little bit of like I might try that. I might try and just get out for 5,000 and then see if I can get up to 8,000. And I might try that, because ultimately what I want you to do when listening to these podcast episodes is take something away and feel more positive about something, and know that, you know, you're going to get something out of it. And I was talking to, funnily enough, my sister's best friend. We were having a big chat the other day, and she was saying she listens to a podcast and all they do is read out people's stories. And I thought, oh, that would be actually a really good feature, maybe like to have at the end of my podcasts, to read out someone's story to see if they can relate or actually get some advice off of me. However, she was like, you know, they do it all through the episode and people don't really take a lot away from it. And it made me think, because I thought, I hope that when you're listening to these episodes you do take something away. And that was why I wanted to start at the 10k part, because I do want you to be able to take something away. And if it is the fact that you're thinking to yourself now, actually I could be listening to Lou when I'm on my walk, or like I'm going to extend my walk a little bit further because I'm going to try and get 10k steps a day in after listening to this episode. Hopefully that's giving you some motivation to want to get out and maybe move your body and do the 10k steps or do the 5k steps, because it will make you feel better. And like I said, I've had to like rein it in a little bit, because just down to the nature of my personality, I do become fixated on things, but it has made me feel a lot better. Anyway, I know I said at the start I wanted to talk to you about my summer, and this is going to be like the main bulk of the episode, because I was talking to someone the other day and they were like, I've followed you on Instagram and I found your personal Instagram. And I don't mind people finding my personal Instagrams, as long as they don't follow me, because I automatically just delete the follower. If I don't know you, I will definitely remove you as a follower, because yes, my profile is open, but at some point it will be private, and I don't want to have to go through like my following list and be like, oh, do I know you? But I think in terms of like transparency online, I've got nothing to hide, and I like the fact that I can share my reels on another platform that will be recognized on my Instagram analytics. Because when someone shares your stuff on Instagram, if they're private, it doesn't show in the analytics. So I keep my account open purely for the basis of that. And I've had a lot of questions where people are like, Lou, why'd you keep your personal Instagram open? And the sole reasoning is because it goes with my analytics with my running account, and not a lot of people would know that, but Instagram have nailed it because they've got like a private feature on their stories. So yes, I post on my stories, but I also have a private Instagram story. I post loads of stuff on my private Instagram story, and I just think that's great, because you can keep what you want private and what you don't want to keep private. You don't have to. I've also only got 3 grid posts on there, because I think because I post so much on my running account, I always feel like I'm doing the most on Instagram. And then I remember that I don't actually post what I'm doing on my running account. It is just basically like to help people. I'll post like things about my breakup and stuff, but it's not like what I'm doing now. If you want to know what I'm doing now, you either listen to my podcast and get a brief understanding, or you're really good friends with me. And I think that's how I've kind of like nailed the balance of posting online. And my sister's best friend was like, I would just don't want to post my life, and I was like, I don't. And it's nice because people always ask me what I've been up to, and I think follow me on Instagram and you ask me like what I've been up to, and I like that, because a lot of people that are posting content online are posting their lives and their daily vlogs and the day in their lives and stuff. Honestly, if I did a day in the life, you'd be like, right, you need to probably have a timeout, because I'm like pinging around all the time, like here, there, everywhere, because that's just my life. And when I got together with all my family the other day, I was like, we're insane. As a family, we're nuts. And that's where I get it from. And so I don't think I could ever do like a day in the life. But as I was saying, somebody messaged me the other day and said, Like, Lou, I found you on your personal Instagram, and like I found your reels, and you look like you've just had the best summers since like going through a breakup, and I'm not doing anything, and I feel like I'm rebuilding my life. And I just wanted to touch on that because I said I was going to talk to you about my summer, and I think this year has been really quite a poignant year for me. And so if you're new here and you've just picked up this episode, or you've like, skipped over a few episodes, you might not know that I was made redundant last year by my ex. I worked for my ex. Their company went through some difficulties and I was made redundant. And yes, you could argue that that was always going to be the case. Would I have wanted to have left of my own accord? Yes. But I had bills to pay. I really enjoyed the job. I was very passionate about the business, even though it belonged to my ex. I'd seen it from day one start up. I got on with his business partner really well. I was in a position where I thought we'd nailed working together, basically. And I was thinking, just give myself another 6 months, another 6 months breathing space, and then I'll look for a new job. But kind of like going along the theme of my own breakup, I wasn't really given a choice. So I was made redundant. So I was made redundant in the July last year. So I still worked for my ex for the whole of those 7 months into last year. And this year has been the first year since 2022 that I am not connected to my ex. The first year. And I've spoken about rebuilding this year. And what this year means to me. And it made me realise that, yes, my summers were so full on. 2023, 2024 were so full on. 2023, I'll hold my hands up. I had the most disposable income I think I've ever had, because I was gearing up to buy a house. And yeah, I was saying yes to everything because I felt like that's what I needed to do. Summer 2022 was a blur. If I could say that, I'd put my house on something that happened in summer 2022, I would not be able to tell you. I remember meeting certain people and stuff in 2022, but I don't remember a lot from it. It was not a nice year. But I went to Ibiza for the first time at the end of the summer, and I did a lot. But 2023 was wild, like mental. I didn't stop at all that year. And then obviously going into 2024, when I was made redundant, I took a step back. Now this year, I think I'm having my rebuilding year, because I was quite fortunate in the fact that not everything happened at once with my breakup. We didn't split up and then immediately sell the house. I lived in that house for a good year after. And then when I left that house, I moved into my new house in the May. I was there in 2023 in the whole summer, and just was able to like spread my wings a little bit. Had my own house where I thought, you know what, no one else is paying for me to live here. I can do whatever I want, because there was always that thing at the back of my mind that my ex was paying for the mortgage in my old house. So I didn't want to be seen to be gallivanting all over the bloody world because I wasn't paying for the house. So I was quite aware of that, and so that probably stopped me from doing things in 2022 and the start of 2023. But this year, I feel like I'm having a summer where I am rebuilding, and I'm looking around and people are saying to me like, oh, have you seen so-and-so's gone here? And I can see people are going away. I've seen so many people fly over to like Ibiza, Marbella, Spain. I've got friends that have gone over to Bali, Australia, and all sorts. And I think it's really easy to sit and watch these people and think, God, like, especially in my case, in the 3 years post breakup, like, why am I not there yet? Why have I not got the motivation or the funds or like the complete, confidence to be able to just take myself away? And I would love to be able to do that. I've got friends all over the world. And if you're a loyal listener, you'll know that the dream is to live in Ibiza. And I am working so hard towards that. And I think that is why this year my summer seems, yes, it's crazy because I've got plans, partying plans and festivals and parties and barbecues and nights out and stuff, but I haven't got anything that's like the big holiday or anything like that. And I think that's why I felt compelled to do an episode like this, because I think there is so much on like being the one that glows up from the breakup, because if you're here, you are definitely the person that glows up. 1000%. I am definitely the one that had a glow up in the relationship, and I mean that in a non-physical way. I mean that I had the glow up to be able to actually learn to love myself. I went to therapy. I sat and with the emotions of the breakup. We are all a product of the glow up from the relationship. And I know that because you are sat here listening to me and I bang on about finding your confidence, pouring love into yourself, going to therapy, healing from the breakup, and not just jumping into another relationship. The person that jumps into another relationship does no glowing at all. Getting into a new relationship is just as getting into a new relationship really quick after a breakup is just a sidestep. There's no growth, there's no nothing. It's just a sidestep. When you sit by yourself and you go to therapy and you do the healing, it's you're going up and you are glowing up. And that's what I mean by how, like, yes, you can have a physical glow up if you want to have a physical glow up, but it's not all about that. It's all about the mental glow up. And that's why I do an episode on like the revenge mind, not the revenge body. You'll be able to find that as quite an early episode that I did, because there's so much pressure on, especially women, there's so much pressure on women to have like a glow up. And what you don't realize in trying to chase a physical glow up, you're neglecting your mind and you're doing more damage than you actually realize that you're doing. And I get sad when people message me saying like, oh my God, like your life just looks so amazing, like since the breakup, and you've done this and this and this. And yes, it does. One, I will argue that you can put anything out on social media and make it look like anything. I always post things from like an honest perspective. Nothing I post online is to make people think like, oh my God, she's having the best time. There was like 6 months of my breakup where I didn't post once on Instagram. I just didn't feel the need to. I didn't want to. I was in a really bad headspace. And then I sort of like, you can see when you go back into your archives, you can see me sort of like start posting again and start getting my confidence up a little bit more. But I think there is just so much pressure on people who've gone through breakups to prove to people that their life is so much better. And you don't need to do that by jumping on an airplane, going to somewhere, posting on your Instagram, doing things like that. There's just no need. Your life will eventually evolve into something, and you'll sit there and you'll think, oh my God, I remember 3 years ago when I thought I was never going to get here, and that I was never ever going to get to a position where I would securely sit in my house and think I am actually not lonely, I don't miss anybody, I'm not pining after anyone, I'm not checking anyone's Instagram. And you need to have these rebuild years. And the only reason why my rebuild year has become now is because I am actually not connected to my ex for the first time for 14, 15, 16, 17 years, because I worked for him. So I was always connected to him. And I think people actually forget that, and not that I need it, but they don't give me grace for that. And they don't think, oh, like, yes, she could have gone and got a job. I'm not joking you. The job market at the moment is just so poor. If I went and jumped and got a job immediately after having a mortgage, immediately after taking on a mortgage on my own, and then not liked that job, I would be in such a sticky situation. I kept in that job because I liked it, it was manageable, and it paid my bills. I'd never paid for a house on my own before in my entire life. That was my first mortgage. It was the first time that I had ever taken on bills by myself. I basically, well, it goes without saying, I run a house on my own income. And the job that I had allowed me to do that, but also allowed me to live as well. And so when people say like, you know, oh, you must be so far on, you know, you're 3 years into your breakup. Yeah, I am. But this year feels like a year where I've actually not taken a step back, but I have taken a step back from, you know, my living part of my life. And I'm just rebuilding and understanding, you know, how I have my own, understanding how I have my own income, and understanding that, you know, I'm not connected to my ex anymore, and understanding all these things. And that's why when people talk to me about it and I say, you know, my rebuild, and I say, you know, yes, I had a rough time in 2022, and you might be sat here thinking like, you know, I physically haven't got the strength to rebuild, Lou. And I get it, because I did not have the strength to rebuild in 2022. Hence the reason why a lot of the stuff I did online came after that, because I couldn't function. And then, you know, the following year you might be thinking, oh, I've not moved out my house yet. Okay, we'll take that in your stride. You don't have to be you don't have to be doing everything at once. You don't have to be buying a new house, going on holiday, losing 7 stone, doing 75 hard, running marathons and all the rest of it. You don't have to be doing it all at once. And one thing you don't have to be doing is posting about it as well. And I think there is a very much this impression that if you're not posting online, you're not having fun, or if you're not posting online, you're not healing. If I posted my therapy sessions online, people still would have something to say about that, and yet I would be proving that I would be doing what I was saying I was doing by going to therapy and healing. But this particular message, when she said you just look like you're living your best life, I would describe my best life as being the fact that I come home at night into my own house with things in that have absolutely zero relevance to my ex, bar my bar stools in my kitchen. And it's something that I created all on my own. I eat dinner, I cook dinner on my own. I don't even think about the fact that I'm doing it on my own anymore. And that's another thing that I wanted to talk about, and I will talk about in a second. But I do all of that. I go to bed by myself. I lock up on my own. I'm not scared about walking around my house in the dark. I used to absolutely hate walking around the house, my old house, in the dark. All the lights would be on all the time. And yeah, I would describe that would be my best life. And anything additional to that is amazing and makes my life so much more fulfilled. But actually living my best life is the fact that I walk into a house knowing that I built this all on my own. And I think there's not a lot online about that. And I think TikTok's like a great platform. I obviously love it, but it can convey quite toxic things. These videos of people saying like, if you split up with your boyfriend, go and book a flight. No, go and get some stability and go and find something that makes you feel stable and safe, because being in fight or flight is horrible. And I was in fight or flight in a house where I should have felt safe and I didn't. And yet this house makes me feel so safe. I'm safe, I'm secure, I'm set up. I have a roof over my head. And the most important part is that nobody has a say in that. I would sit, and I know that I've sat here and said, no one can take this away from me. However, my ex making me redundant didn't take my house off of me, because I worked bloody hard to make sure that I would make ends meet and I would pay my bills, and I have grafted to make sure that that has happened. However, the power still lied in his hands whether I was going to pay my bills on time or not. And for me, and this year and the second half of last year, that wasn't a thing. However, the second half of last year, I really struggled with the fact that I had been made redundant, and it was my ex, and I was struggling to make ends meet. This year, obviously, I've got 6 months, so I've got a year under my belt now. So I'm not in that position anymore, and thank God. But if you are still connected to your ex, you don't need to be worrying about wasting time just because you are not off doing all these extravagant things post breakup. I am so proud of people when they message me and they say, hey Lou, just to let you know, I'm moving into my new house this weekend. I'm like, what a bloody achievement. That is amazing. And if it takes you a year to get on your feet because you are paying for a house on your own, then it takes you a year to get on your feet. Sack the holidays off. Forget doing all these amazing things. Forget what your ex and his new girlfriend are doing. Don't care. You've got the security that you need. You've managed to grow flowers when they chucked dirt on you. That is one of my favourite quotes. You chucked dirt on me and I made flowers grow, and that must be so annoying. So annoying. And I do not talk about getting revenge ever, because I just think if you're looking for revenge, it would only make you more unhappy. However, do I think that quote will make you feel better? Yeah, of course, because I think that, and I talk about it a lot, I think in a breakup, the person that gets left and the person that is hurt the most is the person that's like shit on the most, has the most work to do to be able to make the flowers grow. And if you can make flowers grow from an awful situation, that is a huge testament to your character. That is a huge testament to your strength. That is a huge testament to you, because you have sat there and you've said, no, do you know what? I'm going to take some time to heal. I'm going to get my breath. I'm going to catch my breath. And then we're going to carry on rebuilding. And it was funny because when that message came through, I was thinking, God, like in my head, people probably aren't thinking this, but in my head, in your own head, you're your own worst enemy. But I would think that people would think, oh, she's 3 years post breakup. Like, why is she not doing that? Why is she not doing that? Surely her life's moved on from that now. However, people don't realize how long it took me to get over the fact that not only had I gone through a breakup, but I'd also lost my job. So you may be able to relate to that, you might not be, but also you might be able to relate to the fact that you do feel the pressure and you do feel like you should be doing something different and you should be off gallivanting and telling people how amazing it feels to feel so secure and how amazing it feels to be on your own and how secure you feel whilst being on your own. And sometimes that's not the case and there's no pressure on that. And I just wanted to finish off by talking about how I was saying about cooking dinner in the kitchen and not really thinking about I'm single anymore. So weird. I know when you go through a breakup, especially if you come from like a big family like mine, that hole that person leaves in your family is massive and it's very, very obvious. And I used to absolutely hate going to Sunday dinner, going to family parties, going to Christmas on my own. I hated that. It was horrible. It was so apparent that his presence wasn't there anymore. And it was just a reminder that I was going through a breakup and I hated it. Especially, so did cooking dinner by myself. So did, doing the food shop and only buying one thing and buying things for one person. I absolutely hated it. I was constantly reminded I was single, and I was constantly then reminded about how much I didn't want to be single because obviously I was left. However, now in my single life, that does not cross my mind at all. If anything, I'm like, my God, why is my food shop so expensive? There's one of me. And I can't believe it. And then I remember, I'm like, oh yeah, no, it's the 6 bottles of Prosecco that I bought. And the 6 bottles of Prosecco and all the bloody avocados. Why are they so expensive, but why do they taste so good? And why do they just go with everything? I must buy about 4 or 5 packets of 2 a week. And they're so expensive. And cheese is so expensive as well. But yeah, I don't think about it anymore. It isn't something that I think like, oh my God, I'm cooking dinner on my own again. And I'm sitting on the sofa and I'm eating dinner on the sofa because I live by myself. I'm sitting cooking dinner on my sofa because I literally live on my own. I do what I want. And that's how I think now. And I'm going to have a glass of wine on a Wednesday because what is a school night? I do what I want, And I think it's nice to hear from people that have gone through it. For example, it's nice to hear from me. That was such a massive hole in my life. And it was made very much more poignant because I lived in a big house, so I was very much alone. But when I got my house now, I don't feel like I go to bed by myself every night. I don't think like that. I don't think like, oh, I'm cooking a roast dinner for myself again. And also on that, I cook a roast dinner because I want a roast dinner because I'm either really tired, hungover, it's cold, I want a roast dinner. I used to cook roast dinners to prove to myself that I could do things on my own. That also goes away. And yes, you need that time. You need to be able to get on your first flight on your own. You need to be able to cook your first roast dinner on your own, getting a takeaway on your own. You need all these firsts on your own in your house. And that you will think, oh my God, like this is the first time. You will think, oh my God, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. That will go away. It will go away, and it does go away, and you don't think about that anymore. What you do think is, how long can I make this takeaway last for, because it's just me that lives here now. And I spent a long time thinking this is never going to go away, this is never going to get easier. I'm always going to be reminded of the fact that my ex left me. And honestly, it goes away. I am reminded all the time that I went through a breakup because I have made it a job of mine. It is something that I've poured my life and soul into. You don't have to do that. If you want to do that, then obviously, yeah, go for it. But if you want to share your breakup online, but I am constantly reminded, because I remind myself, and I wouldn't sit here if I thought it was going to be hard. But if I didn't do this and I did a different job, would I be reminded of the fact that my ex left me? No, I don't think like that. And honestly, when you look at the house as well, and just certain things, when you think, oh, that was a product of the breakup. No, it wasn't. This house was supposed to be my house. I cannot tell you how much I love this house. I feel completely different in this house than I do in my old house. This was supposed to happen when I was supposed to live here, and over my dead body am I ever selling this house. It's mine. I'm going to make sure that my nieces or my nephews, or if I decide I want children and I'm lucky enough to have children, that they're going to have it. This house is not going anywhere. And people would say, oh yeah, she only got that house because of her breakup. I'd have got this house if I didn't go through a breakup. If I was just a single girl and never had a relationship, I would be living on my own. So when people say, is your house a reminder of the fact that you went through a breakup and the fact that you're living on your own? No, it actually becomes something that you become so immensely proud of. When I look at my friends, and I think my friends that live with their boyfriends, or my friends that live on their own, I'm so immensely proud of both of them, but more so the girls that live by themselves and the guys that live by themselves. Because I think, yeah, you're doing this all on your own. Like, the bills, the amount things cost, the food. My friend's gone to Glastonbury and he said to me, he was like, food shops are expensive these days, aren't they? And I'm like, yes, because he lives with his mum and dad, and his mum and dad probably do his food shop. He doesn't listen to these, and I'm hoping that he never hears me say that, because they probably do. But it was just the way that he was like, God, food shops are really expensive, aren't they? And I was like, yeah, they are. It's so expensive, it's so hard, but when you do it and you do it on your own, you become so proud. And it is not a reminder like, I'm sat living in this house on my own because my ex left me. You start thinking, oh my God, I am so proud of myself. This is a sick house. I absolutely love living here. Why is everything so expensive? We just make it work. You have to. I would much rather have my house and my mortgage than still be living with a friend, after 3 years of a breakup. That's just my opinion. I don't think there's anything wrong with that if you're getting back on your feet. I would much rather have the stability that I have. Even if I didn't do anything in the 3 years, I would much rather just be able to sit here now and say, at least I've managed to actually rebuild my life, get a house, get a mortgage on my own. Thank God. I'm so grateful. And so I hope this episode has been helpful. It was like a single ramble, a little bit of a Lou ramble. My old boss used to call them LG rambles when I used to go off on a tangent. So I hope that this has been useful for you, and I hope that it has made you feel better, that you don't have to be doing the absolute most at the moment if you're still rebuilding. If you're still rebuilding after 3 years, that is totally okay. If you're still rebuilding after 5, that is also totally okay. And if those 5 years you feel like you haven't achieved anything, and then you have to go back and actually think about what you've actually done. If I'd done nothing in the last 3 years, like I said, the fact that I bought a house would be absolutely massive for me. Not the fact that I've run marathons and done all these sorts of things. These are all great, but they will come with time, and you don't have to put any pressure on yourself to be seen to be doing the most. It's not a thing. I hope I've encouraged you maybe to get out and move your body a little bit more with the 10k steps. And I hope that you realise that maybe if you're struggling at the moment with being reminded that you are single and that you are by yourself, maybe there's a lot of people around you at the moment getting married, getting engaged. Just know that that does go away, and it does become a thing where you don't even think about it. You don't think about, oh my God, that's once what I had when your friends get engaged. One of my friends got engaged a couple of months ago. It didn't even cross my mind. I didn't think, oh my God, I remember when I got engaged. I just remember thinking, oh my God, her wedding's going to be absolutely massive, huge. So these things do take time though, and if you ever need me and you ever want me to talk about anything, or if you ever want to just have a little chat, you know where I am. If you want to join me on Patreon for that episode, like I said, about my views on certain more personal topics, then head on over to there. I would love to welcome you over there. If not, guys, have a glorious weekend. Look after yourself. I'll see you next week. Bye.